Welcome to Retirement Rescue Radio, a show specifically designed to help retirees and pre-retirees maximize their financial efficiency so you can live the retirement lifestyle you've always imagined. Your host is Nate Miller, investment advisor representative and author of the CPR Retirement Rescue Roadmap. Nate discusses thoughts and ideas from some of today's most knowledgeable professionals in the field of finance. He offers strategies along the way to help you make better financial decisions so you can maximize your retirement. This is Retirement Rescue Radio.
Well, hey, everybody. It is Halloween, and you've got Travis Kelce coming to you to do the podcast today. This is my outfit for Halloween. Got to stay professional. So, got the jacket around the jersey here and went all out and got the mustache, the new facial hair for Kelce. And what's interesting about that, I've had several people who see me literally on a weekly basis, and I've had a beard for a couple of years at least now. I believe I still had a beard even before the pandemic happened back in 2020. And you would be amazed at the number of people that have asked me how long it took me to grow out my mustache. And I'm like, I didn't. I just shaved off my beard and left the mustache. So I didn't have to spend any extra time growing it out. I just shaved everything else off. And I got to say, I don't think I look as bad as I thought I was going to look with the mustache, but B, I'm still not keeping it. So pretty much after today is done, I'm going to trim it down and let everything else catch back up to it. So, not keeping the stash. Tom Selleck, I am not. Sam Elliott, I am not. There's a guy in our church who also can pull off the mustache, and no, I'm not him either. And so, I don't know. It's like it almost looks like I need to be a cop or something with this mustache. And I only say that because my dad was a cop, and the only facial hair they were allowed to grow was a mustache. Literally, they couldn't grow a goatee, couldn't grow a beard, mustache. That was it. That was the only facial hair they could grow. And so guess what? Every single guy on the police force had a mustache. Yeah, you got it. So anyway, you didn't get tune in here to listen to me talk about mustaches. However, you did tune in to hear me talk about today's topic, which is going to be gaming the ACA. And what is that? How do you game the Affordable Care Act, or as a lot of people more affectionately call it, Obamacare? So what we're going to be talking about today is if you retire early. So I've got a lot of people that come up to me and they say, Nate, I'm 60 years old. My wife and I, we want to retire early, but we need to go out and get health insurance because we're not old enough for Medicare yet. We can't keep the health insurance that our job has. And so we're going to have to go out to the marketplace and get health insurance, but it's way too expensive. How do we afford this? And so what we're actually going to be talking about today is how to afford it. Not only how to afford it, how to possibly even get your entire healthcare, your entire health insurance through the ACA completely free. That's it. No cost whatsoever. I'm going to go through the numbers here for you. But first off, what we need to understand is a little bit of how the ACA subsidies actually work. And so what I'm going to do here is read how this works. So when you fill out your marketplace application, what needs to happen is you're going to have to estimate what your household income is likely to be for that year. So they're based on your expected household income for the year that you want coverage, not last year's income. So you've got to make your best estimate so you qualify for the right amount of savings. And you'll be asked about your current monthly income and about your yearly income. But here's the thing. What income is counted? That's the key. What income is counted when they calculate the Affordable Care Act, and what income amount are they going to use to determine what your final income number is, and therefore what percentage above the federal poverty line are you? And so therefore, what is your actual subsidy? What's your credit? And so the marketplace uses an income number called Modified Adjusted Gross Income, or MAGI, MAGI, Modified Adjusted Gross Income, Modified AGI. A lot of us have heard the term AGI before, your adjusted gross income. So what is this modified AGI? Well, modified AGI is going to include a few different things. It is going to include your adjusted gross income. So it does include your AGI, but then it's also going to include other things that sometimes, Social Security includes these when it comes to the taxation of Social Security as well. But you're going to have to reintroduce excluded foreign income. You're also going to have to reintroduce any non-taxable Social Security benefits that you may have gotten, including Tier 1 railroad retirement benefits. You're also going to have to add back in tax-exempt interest. Yeah, you heard me right on that. So that interest that you got from your municipal bonds that aren't supposed to increase your taxes are about to increase your taxes, basically. So tax-exempt interest is also included in the modified adjusted gross income. And MAGI does not include supplemental security income. And so here's the key, guys. The key was in that very first thing, the very first piece that I talked about of what the marketplace actually includes, and that's your AGI. We didn't discuss what actually is included in your AGI, or more importantly, what is not included in your AGI. That's the important part, because what we want to do is we want you to have income coming in. We just want it to be the type of income that does not hit your 1040. Because if we can get income that does not hit your 1040, then you've got the income coming in, but you can still qualify for the subsidy. So I want to show you guys an example of what I mean here. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to introduce a hypothetical couple, and I'm going to call them Peter Parker and Mary Jane, right? And so we all know and love those names. And the situation for them is they need about $60,000 per year of income. That's a good average income. It's actually slightly higher than the national average income for retirees. And so they did a little bit better job, or at least they, need a little bit higher of an expense level in order to hit the income or the lifestyle that they want. So the $60,000 is the key. Now, the thing is, you can have $60,000 come in without having $60,000 show up on your tax return. And that's what kind of like floors a lot of people. Is like, no, you can actually have a lot of income if it comes in the right way and not pay any tax on it, or be able to have such a low income that hits the 1040 that you can qualify for those ACA subsidies. So first thing I want to do here is I'm probably going to share my screen. Yeah, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And so that way you can see what we're doing, where we at. And there we go. Google Chrome. Yep, that's where I want to be. All right. So first thing first, okay, what we're seeing right now is an ACA calculator. And what I've got put in here are a few things. So I've got, the scenario that we're looking at here first. Let me also tell you what the expense needs are. Not only not the expense needs, but what's the financial situation of Peter and Mary Jane? Like, how much have they saved up, really? And so they actually have $1 million here, actually slightly more than that. They've got Peter's got a $300,000 IRA, and he's also got a $100,000 Roth. Mary Jane has a $250,000 IRA and a $100,000 Roth. Now, these most likely, at least the IRAs, probably came from their 401ks while they were working. They retired, rolled them out into IRAs, and they thought they needed some tax-free stuff. So they started some Roth IRAs several years ago and have been contributing religiously to those for a few years. They also have a joint account worth another $250,000, and they've got about $50,000 in a savings account, like in the bank, basically between savings and checking. And so there we go. That's their scenario. It's about, what is that, 1,050,000? So we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 1,050,000. There we go, 1,050,000. So they've got $1 million, and they want to know how to retire at 60 and not basically pay, put all their IRA money and Roth money or whatever towards paying for all of their healthcare expenses or all of their healthcare premiums, really, in this case. So they're too young to start Social Security at this point. So basically, all their income is going to have to come from their savings. They don't have a pension or anything like that either. Everything is going to have to come from their investments. And so that has them a little bit worried, because they're like, well, we're retiring early. We can't even start Social Security yet. Our health insurance is going to be super expensive. Can we do this is really the question. And so here's what I want to go through. So let's plug something in here. First off, I want to go to this area. This is some tax software that we use. And I'm going to have to log back in here because it always kicks me out if I haven't been in there for 10 minutes or so, which I think is super low. 20 minutes would be great, but no, 10. And so here we go. What we're going to show is what this looks like just from the tax standpoint. All right. So we got Peter Parker as one of them here. Oh, no, I got Peter Parker. There we go. Look at that. Come on. Pardon my slow internet, guys, I guess. Okay. So here is their situation. Now, remember, I said that they had some Roth money and some non-qualified, like a joint account. They had a joint account worth about $250,000. Here's what's important about those two streams of income, guys. We're going to ignore the IRAs for a second because every time you pull money out of an IRA, what does it do? It shows up on the 1040. It's 100% taxable. So if we took our $60,000 from our IRA, we're going to be taxed on $60,000. We're going to have to show the ACA that we made $60,000. That's what we have to plug in as what we expect to make. And therefore, we're going to get less of a subsidy if that is the case. And so instead, what we're going to do is we're going to pull from different income streams because Roth IRAs, regular IRAs, non-qualified, after-tax joint accounts or individual accounts, brokerage accounts, whatever that are not IRAs and they're not Roths, all three of these are taxed just a little bit different. And all three of these show up in different places on the 1040. Actually, Roth doesn't even show up at all on the 1040, but capital gains can from the joint account. But here's the key. Capital gains, it's only the gains. Only the gains show up on the 1040. And so let's just pretend of the $250,000 that Peter Parker and Mary Jane have inside of their joint account, that half of that represents their basis. So let's just say they have one mutual fund in there and they bought that mutual fund for $125,000. They've never added anything else to it and it's grown to $250,000. Or throughout the time that they have put money in and contributed to it, it equals $125,000. So $125,000 is basis. $125,000 is gain. So if they need $60,000 and they pull $60,000 out, well, then that means that $30,000 is going to represent basis and $30,000 is going to represent gain. So what that means is that $30,000 is going to show up on the 1040. And that's the important part, showing up on the 1040. And let's say they've got some dividends from those investments too, and they're making about a 2% dividend from all of their different investments inside that joint account. So that's going to be about another $5,000. So their total income, guys, if you're looking at this right here, got this capital gains. So $30,000 was their long-term capital gain amount, and their qualified dividends are $5,000. So total income, $35,000. Now, what you'll notice is this little green dot says $0. Well, why does it say $0 when the total income down here was $35,000? Well, because they don't have to pay any tax. No tax whatsoever. That's another cool feature about long-term capital gains. And it doesn't work out exactly, but it's very, very close to where if your AGI, your adjusted gross income, is under somewhere around $83,000. Basically, when you bump up into the 22% tax bracket, that's when you have to start paying long-term capital gains tax. But if you are in the 10 or 12% tax bracket, you will not pay any tax on those long-term capital gains. And they don't have enough income coming in to be in the 22% tax bracket, so they're not paying any tax on those long-term capital gains. So in essence, at this point in this situation, it's almost like they took money out of their Roth IRA. Almost, not quite, but almost. So here's what this is doing. So they're having to pay no tax whatsoever. If we plug that information into our calculator, our ACA calculator, so I'm using the state of Kansas. You can put in whatever state you want, or you can even go all the way up here to what is the U.S. average. We could even use that. I'm going to use that. Let's use the U.S. average instead of Kansas. And this is from kff.org, if you see that up there. So $35,000 is the income. Nope, we don't have any other coverage available for any of the spouses. Only 2 people in the family, 2 adults, both 60 years old. Neither one uses tobacco, and no kids. And so what that means is, based on that information, their income is equal to about 177% of the poverty line. Estimated financial help, bam, $1,994 per month, or basically almost $2,000 a month or $24,000 for the entire year is what their subsidy is. Their cost for a silver plan, $32 per month. Without the financial help, that silver plan would be $2,026 per month. Now, that's for both. That's not each one costing that much. That's both of them put together costing that much. So their costs out of pocket just for the premiums alone, if they did not have the subsidies, would be almost a quarter of six figures, right? It's almost $25,000, over $2,000 a month. That's crazy. And so they can get that subsidy, $32 a month. Bam, we just saved them a boatload of money by pulling from the correct place. Now, they need this every year, right? So they need $60,000 every single year. And so if they need $60,000 of income and they're going to wait until 65 before they can start Medicare, well, how much money does that mean that they need? Well, that means to do the math there, they need $60,000 for 5 years. So that's what, 6 times 5, 30,000 or 300,000. I'm sorry, $300,000. That's what they need. And so if $300,000 is what they're going to need for those 5 years, well, they have $450,000 between their the two Roths and their non-qualified account. So they have more than what they need. Now, right now, we're ignoring Social Security. We're assuming they're going to claim Social Security after they're 65, maybe full retirement age, or maybe even 70. So at this point, I mean, we're just ignoring the Social Security planning at this point. Obviously, that's always part of our process, but we're going to ignore that for a second and say that they're not going to have to start their Social Security until they hit 65, at least at bare minimum, because 65 is when they also will be eligible for Medicare, and then they don't have to worry about gaming the Obamacare system. So there we go. $35,000. They pay no tax whatsoever. Go back down to there, no tax whatsoever. And not only that, they are going to get almost $2,000 a month as a premium tax credit, or basically the subsidy. So that's going to cover 98% of their monthly costs. And that's if they got a silver plan. If they got a bronze plan, it looks like they're not going to have to pay anything per month. But here's what you need to understand. A bronze plan, might be less expensive on the premium side, but they're going to cover less on the coverage side. And so you'll have more out-of-pocket costs if you end up, having some pretty expensive things that you need done from a medical standpoint. And so $32 a month, that should be pretty simple for most people to afford. And so knowing that keeps you from having to pay a boatload more if a bad thing happens, you're going to limit your risk a heck of a lot more by going with the silver plan. So that's a huge savings. No, let's say this. What else does this mean that could happen? Well, this is where some choices might have to be made. We'll put it that way, because you've got right here from this little green dot to where things first start becoming taxable, about $27,600. So let's imagine that we decided to convert some IRA money into Roth money. Maybe we want to do that. Let's say we do $25,000. So now our income is $60,000. Still, if you look right here, no tax. We still owe no tax, but now our income is going to be higher. So we're going to have to go over here and say, we're actually estimating, since we're planning on doing an IRA, a Roth conversion, we're planning on doing a Roth conversion. We know our income is going to be a little higher, so it's probably going to be $60,000. So let's hit that. Boom, submit. Everything else stays the same. We're now at 304% of the poverty line, and still our estimated financial help, $1,720. So it only really goes down by a couple $100, but now our cost for the silver plan is $300 a year. So it went from $32 to $306, per month, not per year, per month. So that could be more than what you want to pay, the $300 a month. So now you're looking at, let's just round it to call it like another $270 a month that you're paying over and above that. So, almost another $3,600 for the year that you're paying over and above that. However, you were able to convert $25,000. $25,000 converted completely tax-free. Now that becomes Roth IRA money, and you never have to pay tax on that ever again in the future. And so that could be a pretty powerful strategy to use. You can game ACA or the Affordable Care Act, $306 a month for health insurance for 2 people. It's actually not that bad when you think about it. So maybe that's worth it. Maybe that's worth it. So so that is how you do it. And how do we get into that position? Well, obviously, the sooner you start, the better. But what that means is we need to be tax diversified. So right now, if you only have your 401k that you've been putting money into and you're at work and you don't have any other savings outside of that, outside of the bank, you don't have any of those joint accounts or individual accounts if you're not part of a couple, or just regular brokerage accounts. And if you don't have any other Roth IRA money, it's time to start thinking about that, because we want to be able to have the choice of where we pull our money from in retirement so that we can not only lower our taxes, but if a situation like this comes up and we want to, quote, game the ACA system, well, we probably need to have money in different types of accounts, because those different types of accounts are all taxed a little bit differently and show up on the 1040 differently. So there you go. Hopefully that helps some of you guys, be able to have the confidence that you might actually be able to retire sooner. If you're worried that you can't retire at 60 because of, the healthcare being a huge issue or a huge expenditure, well, it might be time to find out whether or not you can actually qualify for some of those credits based on how you have your assets lined up inside the different types of taxable accounts, or pre-tax or tax-free, whatever, right? So that's it, guys. We're always trying to bring you information to empower you to live the retirement you deserve. So there you go.